It was a cool experience. It was a cool experience. I'm
Yeah,
still
that's great.
jet lagged. I'm still jet lagged. Like I'm not sleeping properly whatsoever. It's crazy. It's an
It's
8 hour difference, and
9, I think, because you and me are 8 hours. And
eight
there,
hours, whatever it is,
yeah.
messing with my head, man, and I can't sleep properly. That's why I scheduled this for later on in the evening, because it's 10. We started 10 p.m. my time, but for me, I'm kind of waking up right now. I'm like stuck in a twilight zone right now. So yeah, it needs to adjust and settle back. But it was a cool experience. First time in LA. I'd never been to LA before, so it was a pretty cool.
It's a cool town. Yeah, I've been there like 6 times in the last 3 years. Have you never been before? The first time I was actually having anxiety dreams about earthquakes and traffic and people. So I live in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's a very sparsely populated area, but no, I've come to love it. I really love LA. I've gotten to check out a lot of the different neighborhoods, and the people there are so nice. It's crazy. You'd think they're all
really
mean people because there's so many of them, but it's the opposite. It's like where I live in Butte, Montana. Everyone's just genuinely nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I noticed as well. I think the issue for the UK is we just don't get enough sunshine. They're happier out there because they've got sunshine. We don't get it. We just got clouds and rain, so everyone's miserable.
Yeah, that could be a factor. There's no doubt that sunshine affects your mood. And I wonder if there's more than that too, if it's because I've started to think that light is maybe related to consciousness in some way. Not to circle back on that because we talked about it a good amount. But I don't know, like you just hear so much and like Eastern mystics and Kundalini and like the words that we have, like enlightenment, it just almost seems that light is somehow involved and maybe in that transference process where we're the antenna absorbing and sending and receiving. And, and light for a photon, it is timeless, because everything is relative to that. So maybe that would help explain the timeless aspect of consciousness too, if it is somehow related to that electromagnetic spectrum. It's not something I've researched a lot. It's just something that kind of grew out of some conversations I had recently, and I don't know, can't help but wonder.
Well, I think that's an interesting insight because light is photons, and photons are the force carrier for electromagnetism, and we are bioelectromagnetic creatures. We produce electromagnetism. Our brain, our heart produces a very powerful electromagnetic field.
It does, yeah.
Extends around our body. So I kind of look at it like you've got this electromagnetic field around you that you're producing. You're also immersed in an ocean of electromagnetism. And if photons, like I said, are the force carrier for that energy, then yeah, they play a huge role in this phenomena, because I do think that electromagnetism plays a very key role in non-local quantum kind of spooky action at a distance behavior with humans. I think it's in some way we're able to navigate through the networks of electromagnetism, kind of move your awareness through these networks and then return back to old perception. So it's interesting that you say that. And I mean, this is just kind of another obscure thought, but I had this idea that if you imagine the human being as a little bubbled off ball of electromagnetism, you could almost look at that as a particle, like a photon. And, the whole double split experiment, where if you're not observing the photon, it becomes a wave of energy. When you are observing the photon, it becomes a particle of energy. So you could almost imagine that the human being right now, as we are right now, we're in our collapsed particle form, this little ball of electromagnetic energy. But when you get into meditative processes, or you affect the default consciousness perception with psychedelics, or whatever you do to initiate some sort of perceptual shift, this could almost be seen as you going from this to this and spreading out, and your perception spreads out to this non-local capability. So it's almost like the human being could be seen as a, collapsed or wave function particle, a bit like the whole photon jewel double split experiment thing. So yeah, sorry, you've sent me off on a photon consciousness.
Oh no, I completely agree. Actually, I've been thinking about it in those exact terms recently, and especially after reading Eric's book Time Loops, he talks about that a lot, and it's
I'll make a note of that book.
Yeah, you should. It's dense. Like people say my first book was, especially the first like third of it, that really dive in deep to the quantum mechanics and consciousness and thought. But Yeah, no, I don't know. It's one of those things that's going to be hard to figure out, but I feel like we're inching closer. I kind of feel like it's going to start with our understanding of the little things, the quantum world, and then expand. But and maybe it'll come when we get that theory of quantum gravity, because when you understand the waves, the gravity, the electromagnetic spectrum, but then the small bits in the realm of quantum mechanics, it almost seems like those are the same thing that we're talking about with time travel and all of these limitations of understanding how that works, where once we get to that point where we have this theory that combines general relativity with quantum mechanics, almost seems like it'll be the singularity of understanding where it opens up our minds to all of these different things in our physical reality, with our consciousness, with thoughts, with all of it. I don't know. Honestly, I think it could happen in our lifetimes. I really do. I don't think we're far from that.
No.